Yeah, he was pretty upset on that phone call. He was not happy. He was getting all angry at my dad. They did give her a release on abandonment, which does not surprise me at all. Kody doesn't feel like he abandoned her. Without going into a lot of it, I will say this. When he called him, he wasn't even upset about Mary. He was upset. He instantly changed the subject from Mary to Christine and was basically just threatened and said, you better not give Christine a release. I've done nothing to deserve this. And my dad was heartbroken over that. He did say to her, that, hey, I just released your wife. Are you not even sad? And no, he showed no remorse, no emotion, no upsetness about it. He just went straight on to being upset about Christine.
I think I was attracted to how positive you were, I was also attracted to your pedigree. She had a lot of family that she's a blue blood polygamist. Her family lines in polygamy go really, really deep. Yeah. He
married me for the money. No,
yeah.
He married me for the title.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Would it surprise you to know that when Kody Brown received a phone call from Dave Watson, the prophet of the Apostolic United Brethren, and was told that he received a release for Mary on the grounds of abandonment, that Kody didn't even flinch, didn't have much to say, didn't care, and quickly moved the conversation on to Christine and how Christine should not be granted a release? And this happened in 2022. And this was after Christine had been gone for more than a year. Would it surprise you that Kody had a hissy fit about not granting a release for Christine? Or because he said that he didn't do anything wrong with Christine? This is wild, but it doesn't surprise me. And I want to talk about it. So one of Dave Watson's daughters, she is the oldest daughter of his second marriage. Dave Watson is the prophet of the Apostolic United Brethren. Has been speaking out on her TikTok and on posting her TikTok lives to her YouTube channel. Note to self 444. She is the oldest daughter of Dave Watson and his second wife, and Dave's first wife actually left him. If you've paid attention to my channel, you know that I interviewed Emily Lee, who would actually be Melanie's younger sister. So Melanie grew up with Mary. And she was friends with Mary and was actually at Kody and Mary's wedding. To be clear, she doesn't really have a ton of contact with them at this time, hasn't spoken to Mary in a couple years, and really doesn't have a huge connections to the family. So a lot of what she speaks about is in relation to what she knows about her experience growing up in polygamy, along with stuff from years and years and years ago from when she knew the family. But when her dad granted Kody a release, he apparently told her about what happened. And when her dad relayed the news to her that Mary was granted the release, basically Dave told her that Kody was indifferent, ambivalent, didn't care at all whatsoever about the release from Mary, and instead started making threats to Dave and the brethren about Christine, and demanded that the brethren not release Christine from the family. If you remember back in season 17 in the Knife in the Kidneys episode, Kody and Robyn wanted Christine to go to the brethren to get a release from the church. They told Christine that she could not leave the family unless she got a release. Let's look at that clip.
All of a sudden, it just sank into me that she's just like, I'm leaving, so we're divorced.
Usually, our church would say you're divorced. You have to go ask for a divorce.
Yeah.
You have to get paperwork. You have to get approval. You have to prove that the marriage is broken. Christine just saying I'm divorced is sort of invalidating our beliefs. If we want a divorce, then we have to go get their approval. Usually they require counseling. Usually they require lots and lots of meetings.
This exchange on the episode was clearly pre-planned by Kody and Robyn, because she looks at Kody, to him, not to Christine, but to him, about a marriage, having to get a release, and how you can't just say that you're divorced. And Kody's like, yeah. It was very clear that that was a rehearsed conversation between the two of them, something that they had thought about ahead of time because they needed to keep her in the group, in the fold. They did not want to let Christine go. And Kody didn't want to let Christine go because she is an Allred and he is obsessed with having ties to the bloodline, the blue blood polygamists of this church. He wanted to have connection to the former prophet who started the group, Rulon Allred, and he believed that by marrying Christine, he would become elevated within the church and gain favor and become a leader. This actually was told to me by some of Christine's family members. So Kody and Chris and Robyn devised this plan and tell Christine that she needs to go to the brethren to get a release. Otherwise, she is not considered divorced.
Technically, from my understanding, until Christine is physical with another man, she's not divorced. But I don't know.
I was 19 when my mom left my dad and left the plural family. She got a legal divorce because she was legally married to my dad, and then she just left our church. There was no legal process that we've had to go through. Neither of us are part of that religion anymore. So me just saying I'm divorced, I don't see the problem in that at all.
By the time that Christine left the family, Kody was saying publicly that he had been excommunicated from the church when he really hadn't been. He was never excommunicated until now. Now he's basically not allowed at the church anymore. But back then, Kody was saying that he wasn't a part of the church. So it was weird that he was demanding that Christine go get a release. And he was really mad. And honestly, I think a lot of that had to do with Robyn, because Robyn still was hanging on to this faith, hanging on to this dream, the dream she was sold as a child. And I think Robyn liked the superiority of being above Christine, being the head wife. And Robyn was offended by the fact that Christine could just leave the family and there would be sort of an invalidation to her marriage with Kody, again, making it all about herself. And so Kody then had the explosive knife in the kidneys scene when Christine told Robyn that with leaving the family, she was going to need space and she needed to move on with her life because she needed to get away from Kody and Robyn, who were abusing her, obviously. And so Robyn then played the victim and started bawling. And then that's when Kody started screaming at Christine about what a terrible wife she was and how she was a horrible sister wife. And that was the knife in the kidney scene.
It's like, I don't know what I am.
She's treated you like dirt from the very beginning. That's the relationship you have with her. And that's the reason I'm angry. That's the reason I'm pissed off. You never tried to have really good relationship with these other people. And that's the reason I'm pissed off.
That's not true.
And
Yes,
it's just
I did.
vomiting out of me. Man, just the knife in the kidneys over all these years. And the sacrifices that I made to love you. Wasted.
In order for Kody to save face in his community and in his church, he had to make it look like it was Christine's fault that all of this happened. He had to play the victim so that he wouldn't lose face to the church leaders who apparently he's not involved with, but it still has some sort of hold over him at this point, and definitely was something that Robyn was still valuing. And so in order for him to save face to Robyn, to the community, to his family, and to church leaders, Kody had to make it look like it was Christine's fault that the marriage fell apart. He had to start blaming her because she wasn't loyal to anyone. She had bad relationships with everyone. She only cared about the kids. She never cared about the sister wives. She wanted more in her marriage than anyone else. She never wanted to be a polygamist. She only wanted monogamy. These were things that he kept saying. She wasn't a good sister wife. She bullied Robyn. These are all public statements he's making to smear her, to save face publicly to the church. Kody knew that Christine leaving would reverberate in this group because Christine was the reason why they got the show. It was Christine's work with Principal Voices, doing advocacy to, help people in polygamy and try to decriminalize and make people come out of the hiding so that they can report abuse. It was all after everything that happened with Warren Jeffs. And they were trying to really show that polygamy wasn't like Warren Jeffs' group. It was different. And Christine's status, she was the prophet doing all of this work. She had become a speaker and well known. And so Kody now is having to save face to everyone to say, no, 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 no. It's actually Christine's fault that this fell apart. It had nothing to do with me. Because publicly, Christine was saying things like, he abandoned me, he never came over, he neglected me. And when you start accusing a man of abandonment, that's like the worst thing in this world, which is crazy. I mean, it's abandonment is like grounds for dismissal from the cult, and a man will not be allowed to take any more wives if he loses a wife to abandonment. Like no other woman will ever view him as an eligible candidate or an eligible partner. I don't think that Kody really cared so much about the fact that he wouldn't be able to get any more wives, but I think his ego cared a lot about not looking like the bad guy. So even though Kody started basically removing himself from the family when Robyn came into the family, he stopped coming around as much. He put all of his time and energy into her kids. He adopted her kids. He's doing things for her kids that he won't even do for Christine's kids. Meanwhile, Christine's daughter is in the ICU, almost dying from kidney failure. Her other daughter, Isabel, needs a surgery for her scoliosis, and he's literally dragging his feet. Anytime Christine needed help with something, he was always saying no and then doing everything for Robyn. And he clearly was separating himself on the show, pretending like everything was fine. And then Christine starts saying, this is not how it has been. This is what it's been for years. We haven't had a good relationship for all of this time. He abandoned us, and he did. So even though Kody doesn't necessarily care about getting more wives, I think it's the ego part of it for him. Like he can't let them leave. And I think that's why Christine said it was the ego of not letting them go, because he doesn't want to be viewed as a failure. On top of that, because Christine's dad, Rex Allred, is someone that he's well respected in the church. He has a lot of people love him. And because he's Rulin's son, I mean, Rulin had a lot of children, but he was from Rulin's first wife that he had in polygamy. His first wife left him. But because Rulin was from the first wife of the polygamous group, they were well respected. He's well respected in the church. And he's not on the council. He doesn't hold a leadership position. He still believes in the faith. And Kody knows that he's going to end up shaming the Allred name. And Kody knows that it's going to be a disappointment to Rex, which is going to trickle down into everything. And the brethren, even though Christine herself is one of many descendants of Rulin Allred, he's paranoid about what that looks like to them because he thinks he's superior to Christine. He thinks he's better than her. He thinks, well, I married the prophet's daughter because I liked her bloodline. I wasn't attracted to her, but I knew the status type of thing. And so he's not going to let her go. He's not going to let her come out the victorious one. He needs to prove to Robyn that he wasn't a crappy husband, and he's going to blame Christine for being a bully to Robyn and giving up on the family and being abusive to everyone. Okay? All of this is to say that even though Kody didn't go to church anymore and wasn't really actively involved in the church, he still wanted Christine to go back to the church and get a release. And he didn't acknowledge that she had even left him because he was still sealed to her, even though he has no value or care or concern for these leaders. And meanwhile, on the show, Kody is saying he has no respect for the leaders of the church this season. They have no authority over him, right? But he still wanted Christine to go to these leaders and get a release. Well, the reason why I think is because Kody, if she would have gone to get a release, would have fought tooth and nail, would have tried to humiliate Christine to the leaders. And I think his ego assumed that these leaders would take his side because it's a boys' club. And if a man fights back and says, no, I'm not going to let her get a release, it's not my fault, oftentimes the brethren side with the man. So the plot here was that they were going to try to force Christine to go get a release. And then they were going to fight her for the release and make her stay with them, which is disgusting. Kody didn't want Christine, but he didn't want to let her go because of his ego and the control he had over her. And Robyn didn't want to let Christine go because she wanted to have control over Christine and wanted to have all, she could tell her kids what to do and dictate what Kody did. and Kody said in Kody's relationships, they wanted to keep abusing Christine. So you can't leave us until you get a release. Christine leaves. So even a year later, Kody's called by Dave Watson, who says, I've released Mary. Okay. Kody has no response and starts yelling at him about Christine. You can't release Christine from me. Don't let Christine be released. I did nothing wrong. Again, trying to save face because of her all red name. I didn't abuse her. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's Christine's fault. When to everyone that has a brain, it's not Christine's fault. It's obviously Kody's fault. And apparently Dave's response is, don't you care about Mary? And he doesn't. He has no remorse about what happens with Mary. He's only concerned about not having Christine be released from him. This means that in the fall and winter and even into the winter of 2023, Kody was still counting Christine as his wife. She was still his number. He still had 3, right? Don't let Christine get a release. Because if Christine gets a release, then he only has how many? 2. And then what? No more celestial kingdom. No more celestial, planet for Robyn and Kody to like rule over. So the promise he made to Robyn falls apart if Christine is released from the church. Now, at this point, Christine isn't going to go to these people. Okay, I want to be clear. Melanie said that her dad would give a release to any of the women. All they have to do is ask. I think in theory, this is a nice concept, right? But why would she need to go to a man who has no authority over her? And Christine doesn't believe in this faith anymore. She doesn't believe in being sealed. She doesn't believe in the religion that Joseph Smith started. She's doesn't like Joseph Smith. She thinks he's a creep. She has zero faith in the fundamentalist Mormon world. So why would she need permission from a man that follows a faith that she doesn't believe in? She doesn't. But if she wanted to, she could get a release. Even Janelle could, I guess. But they won't go and get a release. They won't. Now that Christine is married to another man, because Robyn said, as long as she doesn't sleep with another man or until she sleeps with another man, then the covenant is broken. Then they're divorced. So Christine's married to David. Clearly they're having sex. And so Christine is divorced from Kody. So now Kody has 2. No more celestial kingdom. Robyn is crying about her loss of identity because she's lost her celestial kingdom and her power. But the plot to keep Christine in this family is disgusting. And his ability and his desire to continue to trash her even a year after she left because he's so hellbent on making her look like the bad guy so that he doesn't lose standing in his community. He's delusional because all of this was happening publicly. If he would have just stayed quiet and done this behind the scenes and literally they wouldn't have had a show and he got Robyn in the family, it wouldn't have probably gone this way because no one would have seen his behavior publicly. But now that everyone knows about his behavior, even if Dave Watson's a hypocrite and even if Dave Watson is a jerk, because that's my opinion he's still going to grant the release because it's everywhere. It's obvious. Everyone sees it. And so Kody can't handle that he's a failure. He has to blame Christine. And they were going to try to force her to stay in this marriage. And they were going to fight the release. And that's sinister. I thought everyone had a choice, right? Nobody's being held hostage. Nobody's a prisoner. But they wanted to keep Christine as a prisoner. So doesn't that actually prove that this wasn't consensual? That Christine didn't have a choice because Kody said that she didn't get permission? So Christine leaving him undermined that. He lost property. He lost his slave labor. He lost income. He lost a possession. That's disgusting. So what are your thoughts about Kody's response and now understanding the plot about Christine? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Bye everyone.